Module 1, Section 9, Objective 3. So this is the section where we're putting it all together, and we're translating a phrase into mathematical expression containing whole numbers. Now we've done stuff like this already in the past too. We're just putting them all together again. Okay, so in your notes you've had individual sections. So one lesson had those two columns and another lesson had these two columns. Okay, so it's a review, but let me fill some of them in so you know what we're talking about. Okay, here are some of the ones that we had before, and maybe a couple new ones, like this twice and 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. It's kind of the times, right? Now in division, we could do half of something, right? It means you cut it in half, you divide it in 2. But that also means you're breaking it into parts. So these are all connected. The blue ones are connected to each other as well, and the pinkish ones are connected to each other, because add and subtract are connected, just like multiply and divide are connected. Okay, for this one, we're translating each phrase into mathematical expression and simplifying. Okay, now when they say simplify, that means to compute, to evaluate, to solve. Okay, there's probably some other words that we could use as well, but that's basically the idea. Okay, so over here, A, 3 less than 10. Less than is in the subtract column, right? Now if I were to do this on my fingers, for example, 3 less than 10, you'd start with 10 and then take 3 off, wouldn't you? Okay, so when you have the word than, you reverse the order of the numbers that you see. So 10 was second and 3 was first, but when I write it as a problem, it reverses. 3 less than 10 is 7. Okay? B, 35 divided by 5. Okay, now we're writing an expression, so you could write it this way, or you could write it this way, or a diagonal fraction. I don't like those, like I've said, but those are the only 3. This one that I'm going to write off to the side, that's a division problem, yes, but this is considered scratch work. It's not considered an expression. Okay, so we're not going to use that one. And I'm not going to use this one, so I'm just going to say those 2. And now solving it, 35 divided by 5 is also 7. All right, C, 237 decreased by 145. Okay, so that's a subtract right there, right? And we're going to start with 237, and we're going to minus 145. Okay, now off here to the side, I'm going to do my scratch work. Okay, so 7 minus 5 is 2. 3 minus 4, you can't do it, so we're going to borrow. 13 minus 4 is 9, and 1 minus 1 is 0, so we don't need it. So 92 is my answer. Okay, D, sum means add, right? So we're adding the square root of 25 and 8. So square root of 25 plus 8. Okay, now the square root of 25, what number times itself is 25? So that's 5. And 5 plus 8 is 13. And the last one here, 4 times, so that's multiply. The sum is add. Okay, so 4 times these two numbers added together. Okay, this is where you get a little bit more complicated. So these two numbers added together, we're going to go 6 plus 12. But now we want 4 times that. So if I go 4 times this, that means we're going to do 4 times 6 and then add 12 later. We don't want to do that. we want to do 6 add 12 and then times the answer by 4. So what I'm going to do is make certain I do those two first by putting them in parentheses and putting the times by 4 on the outside. Okay, now computing it, let's see, we're going to have 4 times 18, and I'll tell you is, whoa, very messy, 72. Okay, other side, here we go. Okay, the difference of 12 and 5. Now, I usually say the difference between 12 and 5, but it means the same thing, right? Either way, we're going to subtract. So, 12 minus 5, and that's equal to 7. Okay, G, 5 divided into 35. So, that's this one over here on the side, right? Which means that's our scratch work, however. So we're going to do one of those two. It's interesting that they chose the same problem, but it's phrased differently, isn't it? So 35 divided by 5 is 7. Or you could have written it with the divide symbol that way. Okay, so next one, 7 less than 20. Okay, there's the than again. So we're going to start with 20, and then we're going to go down 7. So the answer is 13 on that one. Okay, I, 2 times the square root of 36. So 2 times the square root of 36. Okay, now what number times itself is 36? That's 6, right? And then 2 times 6 is 12. I don't like working the problems across, but we don't have much space. And J, 7 times the quotient of 14 and 2. Okay, so I want 7 times this whole number. And that whole number is a quotient, so divide bar, 14 and 2. Or you could have written it as 7 times 14 divided by 2. Either way, the 14 divided by 2 needs to be in parentheses, so you do it first before you times it by 7. Okay, so this would be 7 times 7, which is 49. Same thing over here.